Khaled,
Yeah.
what you cooking?
Yeah. This one probably got the angel jamming in the chairs. You call him Jesus, I call him Yahweh Shah. It don't come from the script, it's hella Yaliyah. Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shah Hamashiach. Big Jews in the name and they scared of us. Break bread with the heathen, I'd rather not. China want war, Russia want war. Babylon, see your time is running out. Yeah, I done read Isaiah, Jeremiah, Daniel. I feel like I'ma see the King David. I've been cursed since birth, hung with the wrong niggas, uncircumcised. I ate from the wrong table. Was confused before, ain't read the script, and you could tell. I swore it was all fake till I realized that history disappeared. It was coded by a world that won't save you. Yahweh gon' make sure we get it. Lord willing, I get it. Lord will I see the day. That's why I ain't trimming on my beard, just trimming on these beards with these fringes on my waist. I don't care about images, just care about building up and enduring through my faith. I don't care about images, I just care about building up and enduring through my faith. I will never forget thy precepts, for with them thou hast quickened me. I am thine, save me. I am thine, save me. I will never forget thy precepts, for with them thou hast quickened me. I am thine, save me. I am thine, save me.
I will never forget thy precepts, oh no, no. Oh no. Most High willing, I keep that frame of thought. And that's most High willing. Everyday battling flesh, getting ready for the war. That's why I gotta repent, pray fast, move on. I am thine, save me, because thine enemies make a tumult, plan the schemes. That's why the world waxing weak, gave up the world and the we to serve the Lord as my King. We got the faith, yeah, we believe. Sooner than later, you gon' see. Every eye shall see, every knee shall bow. Wow, that's power. If you fit the curses in Deuteronomy well, that power is ours. Time is running out if you rain on the boat like the days of Noah. 2 Peter 3 and 6, I go to 7. Work out your salvation, your favorite shrimp. Gave me the precepts, I pray that I live by them. Running this race, pray I'm enduring to the end. Pray I'm enduring to the end. Work out your salvation, your favorite shrimp. Gave me the precepts, I pray that I live by them. Running this race, pray I'm enduring to the end. Pray I'm enduring to the end.
Shalom, Yasha Allah. I'm Captain Yakum Yah with the verse of the day. Coming from Psalms 119, verse 104. Through thy precepts I get understanding. Therefore I hate every false way. So through God's word, through his commands, through his laws, statutes, and commandments, I get understanding. When I go precept upon precept, precept upon precept, I gain understanding. And the more I gain understanding, the more I hate every false way. Think about it. Shalom. AHOS.
Shalom, shalom. This is Officer Benyamin on the AHOS, coming to bring you another scripture of the day. And the scripture comes from the book of Proverbs, chapter 27, verse 1. And it reads, Boast not thyself of tomorrow, for thou knowest not what the day may bring forth. And verse 2, Let another man praise thee, and not thine own mouth, a stranger, and not thine own lips. Is that all these things have to deal with pride. Every day that we live is a day that the Most High gave us. So we always have to remember and be humble that the Most High has woken us up to another day. And as we walk through this truth, I ask you guys to continue to persevere and endure. Right? Remember, the meek shall inherit the earth. Shalom.
AHOS.
Shalom, shalom, Israel the Soldier Antonio with the verse of the day. We're going to hop over to Sirach chapter 38 and verse 18. For of heaviness cometh death, and the heaviness of the heart breaketh strength. In affliction also sorrow remaineth, and the life of the poor is a curse of the heart. Take no heaviness to heart, drive it away, and remember the last end. Forget it not, for there is no turning again. Thou shalt not do him good, but hurt thyself. So remember, when you being tried and you being tested, the Most High is dealing with you. Remember that promise when you endure. Shalom.
Jonathan got bars, man. He got bars. But he always making slow music, man. Wanna pray to his music and meditate. He can't get hype, man. Sometimes I wanna get hype for the Lord. Come on, man.
Blood on the post, 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 keeping them close. Man, we got fringes and seats on the clothes. Me and my brothers ain't sleeping, we reading the secrets. The deepest you been is the ocean. Now we been swimming in waters that's deeper than rivers to Jordan. We creeping up on them. It's the 14th of the month. Bone Thugs one day late for the show. Oh, ain't never been out ever since Red Pen Pals. You too late, you let them in now. We like veterans, niggas else power. These secrets only come through steady, no regrets. We walk through water like Jesus. We raising the dead, you see this. Look at this evening pose. Blood on the post, 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 blood on the post.
We holding posts, chopping up doctrines, they ain't coming close. They had the 3 strikes like I'm Warner Franco. We're Rochelle toast, wisdom is better than silver and gold. This water is knocking down wicked Pharaoh. Can't swim through the sea, man, that fan was too slow. Pharaoh was sober-minded, think he can and go. Escape on a starry night, Vincent Van Gogh. Living good unchained like Quincy Django. Sharpers down in the hood, now they wanna tango. Death angels coming close, so watch your back, bro. Watch your back, bro. We grilling that lamb, we gon' eat that. That bread, bitter herb, we gon' eat that. Doing this till your how come and see that. We that. Oh,
blood on the post, 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 blood on the post. The Pesach and Nissan, we found faith in Misraim. We got to be strong. Walking through water, pray we don't sink. Strapped up, boots tight. Walking upright, boy, we don't lean. 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 Walking upright, we see that. Blood on the post. Blood on the post, 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 blood on the post.
Shalom, shalom, shalom. Welcome back to another Milk Monday. Glad to have you back. I am Officer Knock. I'm here with Captain All Your All. I don't see him. I see something going on, but I don't see him on right now. So I'll wait till he comes on and we'll get started. But hey, I want to say welcome again to another Milk Monday. I want to first, before we get started, give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Amashak Yahweh Shai. Also want to be thankful for the diligent brothers and sisters who are diligently trying to be 1% better at putting their brick in, coming to these classes, participating in the feast days, keeping the commandments to the best of their abilities. Give all praise to the Most High for that. But today's class, we're going to get into something that's going to be pretty interesting. The title of tonight's class is called Black and Jewish Relations. I'll say it that way again, Black and Jewish Relations, or so-called Black and Jewish Relations, and how they stole your identity. We're going to get deep into that part of it with some, I'm assuming that Captain has some videos. I don't know what he has, so I'm anxious to see what he has and what he's going to present for us tonight. But let me go ahead and give out some announcements, as I always do. If there are any brothers who are out there looking to find a congregation or a camp to join with and want to put your brick in, you can do so by sending us your request through email at anointedhos@gmail.com. That's anointedhos@gmail.com. You can send us your information in the subject line saying that you want to be a part of the prospect phase. We'll get that information out to you as soon as we start our next phase. All right. Also, now coming right around the corner, about a month away or less than a month away, we will be having our Anointed House of Saints second annual Feast of Passover 2024. It's already pretty much here. If you want to purchase tickets for that, you're gonna have to go to our website. Let me pull up the banner real quick. Let me pull the banner up. Why do I always misplace this banner? There we go. Yes, the banner is for April 21st. We're going to be starting at 7 p.m. It's our Passover 2024 with the Anointed House of Saints. This will be taking place in Atlanta, Georgia, and you will need to go to www.anointedhouseofsaints.org to purchase your tickets and reserve your seat. We hope that you are able to join us and be there with us so we can have a great time with the Passover, great time in the Most High. I'm looking forward to that. Okay, there's Cap. Shalom, Cap.
Shalom, y'all. Good to be back. How y'all doing?
All right. I like that.
Man, it's Passover time. You know we're wearing white this year.
Oh, see, I'm gonna have to put my name in for one of those. I ain't got one of those. I got to get one of those.
Oh, nobody got one of these. I'm the only one got one of these so far.
I'm talking about putting it into you. I'm sending it to you to get me one.
Send it to me. I'll make it.
Well, you're not giving your okay, I got you. I got something for that though. But anyway, let's go ahead and get these shout outs going and we can go ahead and get class started. Let me get to the comment section. Let's see. As always, we want to give a hearty shout out to Sister Joan Gilchrist. Shalom to you, sis. Shalom to Malka Yapa. Shalom, sis. Shalom to Regulator of Christ. That's ROC, Yahweh Camp in Raleigh, North Kakalaki. Shalom to you. Shalom. Shalom to Akmasha. Shalom to Brother Wynn Walker. Shalom. Good to see you, brother. Shalom to Soldier Gary. Be like ants. Shalom. Shalom to Brother Brown. Good to see you, Brother Brown. Always good to see you. Shalom to the mighty soldier AHOS Kasadia. Shalom in Naptown. Shalom. Shalom to Soldier Nadiyab, the mighty soldier Nadiyab. Shalom to you. Shalom to the mighty officer Kadar Aharon. Shalom to Chakma. Shalom to Brother Yaquab. Shalom to the mighty officer Boaz Be Zealous. As a matter of fact, did I say Officer Kadar Aharon? Or did I say, Officer Kadar Aharon. Salakia. Officer Boaz, Shalom. Shalom to Nazar, 12 Gates. Shalom to you, brother. Good to see you as always. Shalom to Sister Judith. Good to see you, sis. Shalom to the mighty captain, Yakam Yah. Shalom to the mighty captain, Shaquat. Shalom. Let's see who else we got on the board. I don't see anybody else on the board. But if you want your name shout out, put a shout out in the comment section. I will see your name and I will shout you out towards the end of class. Shalom just coming in. Shalom to Sister L. Shalom. Shalom, sis. Good to see you. Shalom. All right. And with that, I think that's all I have right now. So we're going to go ahead and give it and turn it over to you, Cap. It's all yours.
My bad, I was late. We did the little Passover shout out and stuff.
The Passover. Yeah, I'm going to show the of course I'm going to show the commercial later. Also,
all right, cool.
Before class.
All right, y'all. Well, shalom. Of course, once again, we want to give our honor and praise and glory, power, and be thankful to the Most High Yahweh by Shema Mashiach Yahweh Shah. That is in the name of His Son Yahweh Shah, who y'all ignorantly call Jesus Christ, right? Because I don't call him that no more. I stopped a long time ago. But today, felt like we're gonna get into a little bit of history, right? Next week is obviously, you know, Easter Fun Day, and so like, I don't know if we're gonna have a class on that day or not. Probably not. But if we don't, you know what we'll be talking about on Monday. If we don't, if we do have a class on Sunday, or if somebody talks about it Friday or Thursday or Wednesday or whatever, right? We'll be doing a part 2 to this lesson because it's an actual historical event that we're going to be talking about. You hear Israelites talk about the crafty council. Hey, the water sis. You hear brothers and sisters talk about the crafty council, right? That happened between us and the Jewish people, the Jewish people, right? And they're going to be shadow banning the video. I still haven't gotten a notification for it yet on my particular device. But regardless of the fact, I'm going to be bringing out a video from Steve Coakley. The actual video I was going to use, it worked all last week. I told Knock about it. When I found it, it worked this morning up until maybe 5 p.m. this afternoon. And now the whole 2-hour video has been dropped down to 3 minutes and 45 seconds, ironically. Don't know how that happened right before I decided to teach the class, but that's what happened. The video I was going to use has been shut down from 2 hours to 3 minutes and 45 seconds. But the Most High is a boss, and somebody happened to upload it again. So we got it. I just had to dig through it the last little bit. That's what took me so long to get on the screen, because I had to find the timestamps, new timestamps, because they actually uploaded the full video instead of the cut and edited versions that I was going to use for this particular lesson. But we found what we needed to find, and Most High will, StreamYard don't be tripping, so we could get through it today. All right. So basically, it's going to be a lesson on how the Jewish man stole your identity, right? And there's documented artifacts that I'm going to give you guys. We're not going to read all of them today, but I'm going to give them to you guys so that y'all can go read them on your own time. And if you want, maybe one of y'all guys in the, congregation, one of the soldiers, officers, or somebody else that's going to see this later on from another camp, maybe y'all could do a lesson on it, right? So just wanted to kind of put the information out there for y'all so that it'll be something that y'all understand, something that y'all have knowledge of, and something y'all can put in your back pocket to teach, right? In case y'all ever go against any of the Jewish people too. So yeah, like I said, it's going to be a pretty good history video. If you like the history and stuff like that, you're going to be into it. If you don't, well, it is what it is. So before we get into the video, let me go ahead and pull it up. There's some things I want to go over first as far as history is concerned, just so y'all understand the backstory, right? So Steve Coakley is going to be talking about basically the Balfour Declaration, right? But before and after. So he's not going to be talking about the actual event, the Balfour Declaration that we've gone over before, right? Which that should help you guys understand the meaning of the class. But and also the Boule lesson that we did, right? All three of them. The ones on the old channel and the one we did on this one. Or the two we did on this one. So that being the case, you guys should understand where we're coming from, right? But Coakley's basically going to go into how the Jewish man came to America. He invested in the slave trade, and basically from there created the Negro man, right? This image of the Negro man, which is this poor, lowly person, you know, the lowest class in America, right? And he created a class of people from the Negro society, right? For them to look up to, which would be your boule, right? Back during that time. Now it would be your celebrity class, which would include the boule, right? A lot of your boule members are celebrities. So that's how that all ties in. I figured it'd be a great class for today, seeing as though Putin just told the world about the Israelites being real and about us telling the truth about the Russian icons this whole time. He pulled the book out the vault and said, look, that stuff those niggas been telling you forever, I'm Vladimir Putin. And I'm telling you, Jesus is black. Right? He opens up the book, shows everybody. They go through the little thing. He shows you the little, if you watch the full documentary of it, they even show you inside the little catacomb vault they got up there in them little rooms and stuff that they give tours on now, I guess, right? I guess he's doing that to help fund his war. He's giving tours now of the back rooms. So people are there in the room and you can see them looking at all the pictures of the black Jesuses and stuff and all that stuff, right? All the different prophets they got on the wall, Peter, Paul, Luke, Mark, John, everybody, right? So, yeah. And they also showed the book, The Russian Icons, which if you've been paying attention to it on YouTube recently, they're calling that book the Black Jesus book now, right? Instead of what it's really called. So if you ever hear people on the train or whatever at your school or at work talking about that Black Jesus book, they talking about the Russian icons so that, you know, you understand what they're talking about and you could drop some knowledge on them and let them know that the Israelites been talking about it for years, right? So, but anyway, Coakley is going to be talking about how the Jewish people funded the slave trade, stole our identity, and now basically use that identity for the same way Hitler said they use it for, right? So before we get into that, though, because there's time periods that I want you guys to understand. There's a man named Rosenwald, right, who basically is the start of this as far as how the Jewish man got involved with black relations and the black community, right? He was the head of race relations in the early 1900s in Chicago. And there were two men that were prominent in the Hebrew Israelite community that ran all up and through Chicago and started congregations and had people that started congregations in Chicago. Those two men were, right, F.S. Cherry and William Crowdy, right? Wilson Crowdy. That's his real name. So Will Crowdy and F.S. Cherry, they started their little congregations, which became big congregations, and both of them end up being the two men, well, two of the main people, right, that the groups we have now that we call Hebrew Israelite groups, that they call Black Hebrew Israelite groups, span from, right? What you realize is the hate for the Hebrew Israelites and the knowledge of us, it's not something they just now got a whiff of in the 60s with the commandment keepers and stuff. It's not something they got a whiff of in the 80s with One West or recently, right, with the new camps. It ain't something they just now realized. They've known about us since the very beginning, and we're going to prove it today. And it had something to do, them knowing that we were waking up to our identity had a lot to do with them taking the land in 1948, right? So we're going to put the pieces together and show how all this is connected. But first, y'all got to know the history. So before I pull up the video, I want to go over William Crowdy, right? He was born in Maryland. A couple of facts I have in my notes. So Wilson or William Crowdy, born in Maryland, right? Died in New Jersey. So he's a northern brother, right? But watch where he spans from. He lived in the north and died in the north. But watch where he went. So 1893, right? 60-some, almost 60 years after slavery, right? Not even 60, but almost. So we got, especially if you count Juneteenth. So 1893, he creates the Church of God and Saints of Christ in D.C., right? The headquarters of America. And I guarantee you, they've been scouting people, right? Once they got to the early 1900s, they gave it a name called COINTELPRO. But they always had a way to scout the slaves. They always had a way to find out what we're doing, what type of things we into, you know what I'm saying, all that type of stuff. That's why COINTELPRO wasn't difficult for them to enact and to initiate, right? And to be successful at. because they already had ways of doing this thing before that happened, before they gave it a nickname, right? So 1893, when he's in DC, I guarantee you they knew what was going on, and they followed it from this point. So Wilson Crowdy, 1893, creates the Church of God and Saints of Christ in 1893. And by the way, that date is also very close to the time that the Balfour Declaration was being created. If you know the history on that and you watched our video. If you didn't, go back and watch it after this lesson. By 1896, it spread to Kansas, right? So we go from DC to Kansas. If you've ever looked at the map, that's a pretty long distance, right? They're not right next to each other. There's a bunch of different states that you have to cross in order to get to that, right? Most of those states being slave states, which means he's going to come across a whole lot of niggas in the process of time of that, going from DC to Kansas, right? And it's 3 years. Okay, check this out to prove that fact. So he starts he starts another congregation in Kansas, right? And then he made another like a tabernacle in Emporia, and another one in Lawrence, Kansas, right? And between that time, that 3 year span from 1893 in DC to 1896 in Kansas, he was arrested a total of 22 times. I guarantee you he wasn't arrested just for preaching the Bible. He was arrested for telling those black people who they were according to the Bible, right? Just like so many other brothers were arrested for what they call now civil rights, okay? This is William Crowdy, the guy known as the Black Hebrew Israelite, right? And there was a man before him named FS that we're going to get into in a second. So he's arrested 22 times within 3 year span. Now we get to 1900, right? Mind you, all this is right after slavery. This brother established the tabernacle in Missouri at this point. So we already got one in DC. We got 2 in Kansas. Now we got tabernacles in Missouri. We got tabernacles in Chicago. Keep that in mind. Chicago, because that's where Rosenwald is going to be at now. And this is 1900. So Rosenwald is there watching this, right? 6 years after this, he's going to become the head of race relations in Chicago. And a lot of things are going to start to change for black people. Ironically, we're going to see why that's connected, right? Rosenwald being a Jewish man. Okay. So he starts tabernacle in Missouri, in Chicago, several cities in New York state, right? And then it says distinctively that he leaves an elder in charge in every city. So when he leaves somebody in charge, right? He starts a camp, leaves a camp there, right? So now there's a camp and a congregation in all these different places. DC, Kansas, Missouri, multiples in Kansas, multiples in Missouri, multiples in Chicago, and multiples in New York, right? That's from one nigga, one brother. Mind you, and just imagine all the brothers he woke up, and even sisters, that start their own congregations in these places or other places that they move to and do the work. So you've been thinking that the Hebrew Israelite thing is something that's new, and it's not, right? Everybody in your church has knowledge. We the Israelites. Yeah, we all know that. Well, y'all don't know that because your pastor been telling you. You know it because brothers like William Crowdy and F.S. Cherry was telling folks back during the time your great-great-grandmother and grandfather was just coming out of slavery, going to their little old Baptist church in the South, right? When they was being told these things, it was being passed down to y'all. Problem was that good old Baptist church was re-indoctrinating them afterwards, right? Because your family members obviously didn't stay with those elders that F.S. and Crowdy left in charge. That's how it worked. He even was going around as a Baptist. He wasn't calling himself a Hebrew Israelite. He was a Southern Baptist man, right? You can look that up on your own, which I have a source I could go to after this. I'm just trying not to waste the time. But he was known as a Southern Baptist on purpose so that he'd be able to get into the Baptist churches and talk to you guys, right? You so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans. So, moving on. That's F.S. Cherry. 1903, he buys 40 acres of land that he calls Canaan, which is where his church still stands today, right? And in 1905, he sent missionaries to South Africa. So this brother has congregations in DC, Kansas, Missouri, Chicago, New York, Virginia, and South Mother effing Africa. One brother, right? Imagine all the people that come from him. Marcus Garvey was a student of this brother, right? Marcus Garvey was also a student of the brother we're about to name, so much so that he used his generals and people from his church that he called generals to help him on his expeditions and his, missions, right? So the next guy we're going to get into right quick before we get into the video, F.S. Cherry, born in the South, right? That's all it says about him, born in the South. I couldn't find out where. He born in the South. He learned Hebrew and Yiddish in 1886. Right? Knock, you remember when we got out of slavery?
Yep.
1865.
1865.
1886 is 21 years after niggas got out of slavery. And this brother knows English and Yiddish, right? And Hebrew. One brother, right? Check me out. In Tennessee, he starts his first congregation, right? 1886. So Crowdy starts his in his first one, 1893. FS starts his first one in 1886. Crowdy, he starts his in DC, right? FS starts his in Tennessee, right? We got one brother starting midway to the north, one brother starting all the way in the south, right? We seen where Crowdy span. Watch where FS goes. He's also a member of the Scottish Rite, and he's a 33rd degree Mason, right? Because back then, when niggas became Masons, they actually learned something. It wasn't all about the Prince Hall Masonry where they teach you downgraded version of it. He actually got to learn what the white folks was learning back then, right? So that's something to keep in mind. But, 1915, right? So 1886, he has his congregation in Tennessee. He keeps that there, builds more congregations until 1915. Then he moves to Philly and starts the Church of God, right? So he starts that in Philadelphia. Then he has a group called the Church of the Living God, which is where Marcus Garvey gets his generals from, right? So Marcus Garvey is learning directly from F.S. Cherry, basically, okay? And he was the first man ever on record. Sorry for the way the video looks right now. It'll come back. But he the first man on record ever to say that Jesus is going to return in the year 2000 with the race war. He the first one to say that, right? That's F.S. Cherry. So these two brothers together basically start the movement, right? I'm going to go off screen for a hot second. So these two brothers, they start the movement, right? And this time period between 1886 and 1906, which both of them are active, right? There's a man named Rosenwald for the Jewish man that comes on the scene. So at this point now, I'm going to let homeboy Coakley get into his lecture, right? Now that I done gave y'all a backstory, y'all hit the like button when y'all come in the building, Baba Kasha. Y'all share the video because it's going to get shadow banned. It might get deleted, so take your notes because they already ain't sending out notifications, and we ain't even no big channel. So y'all pay attention because we're not going to do this again. All right.
That was such thing as Black Jewish.
You couldn't hear that, huh?
Yeah, I heard it.
You was able to hear it?
Yeah, I heard it. Hey, what version did you say you?
I couldn't hear it.
What version did you say you had, Cap? You said it got. You said it got cut from a longer version to a 2 or 3 minutes.
Not this one, but there was another one I had that was actually edited. Well, let me see.
Relations before 19.
This is crazy. Now my junk is tripping. Hold on a second.
Well, this one says 2 hours and what? No.
2 hours and 43. Nah, it's not this one. This one's fine. This isn't the one I was going to use originally, though, is what I was trying to say. This is longer than the one I was going to use. It was already edited from me. I had to go back and find the timestamps and stuff. But hold up. My mic and stuff is tripping because now I can't hear it. I had to disconnect my mic. Hold on. Here we go.
There's a 3 minute and 44 version one.
Here we go. I got it. No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the one it was an hour long. It was an hour and 55 minutes. And it
Gotcha.
was exactly everything I needed, not 2 hours and 43 minutes. You feel what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
It was already edited. All I had to do was skip a couple of parts and play exactly what I wanted to play. And they just deleted that literally 10 minutes before I started the class. I don't know why it got deleted. I asked the people in the comments, ain't nobody saying nothing. I don't even know if they know it got deleted. But I've been watching it since last week, and it just now stopped working. So I had to find this one, and then I had to find the actual timestamps because this is the full almost 3-hour lecture that I didn't want to go through. But we're going to go through it because I got the timestamp.
Gotcha.
I just had to make sure I could hear it. I should be good now. Yeah, we Gucci. All right, bet. So talking to you about Rosenwald, right? And how the Jewish man started his reign, and basically, literally, how you stole your identity. So pay attention.
It was not until the Atlanta head of B'nai B'rith, Leo Frank, was hung for murder on the testimony of a black man.
Now, I can't remember if we did that on this channel or the last channel, but I did a class on Leo Frank.
I believe it was this channel.
I think it was this one too. I thought it was this one.
Yeah, I believe
we did a class on Leo Frank when we were talking about, yes, it was when we were talking about the Inquisition, and when we were talking about them kicking us out and all that type of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we did a class on Leo Frank. Y'all could go back and watch that, right? If you want the full history on him. But it's crazy how all this is coming full circle, because I didn't know it was going to come full circle like this, but that's how the Most High worked, right? So we did the class on Leo Frank. He was the head of the Anti-Defamation League that was, put to death on the charges of a black man. And that was the first time this ever happened, right? It wasn't the Anti-Defamation League at the time, but after Leo was killed, right, by the people who prosecuted him, and the penalty was death, and they put him to death, hung him, the Jewish people didn't like that a black man, a slave that they funded to be put over here in this position, and that they're, raising up to be this man that they could use at their will in America like they do now. They basically were pissed off that one of us were able to put them in the grave. So they changed the name of their company from the German Defamation League to the Jew Defamation League to the Anti-Defamation League, right? And that's where they stand now, the Anti-Defamation League, to stop the defamation of all the Jews, right?
Did the Jewish community begin to infiltrate, penetrate, and appease the direction and the selection of black leadership? We prove that. And part of what it proves is it affirms that there has never, ever, ever been a beginning of a relationship where Jewish wealthy fall into an alliance with college-educated blacks. Because on the surface, we understand that one has the money and the other must work for the money, and no alliance of equality can start unequally. That is
right. But what did they do? They've taught us through civil rights, through Martin Luther King, right? Who in the video next week, if we do it next week or the week after that, whichever time we do part 2, you're going to hear this from the perspective of a Jew, right? Mr. Fagin himself, friend of the Rothschilds, who was backstabbed and made a book about how they came to prominence, right? And there's actually a recording that you can hear because he recorded it before he died. And you can hear him speaking on it, right? Shout out to AI. So basically, we basically have a situation where Fagin is going to tell you the thing I used to say that I said I would stop saying, but I have to say it for the sake of what Fagin said, that he used to call Martin Luther King Martin Lucifer King, because Martin was a direct arm to use against the black folks, and he was black, right? In his direct arm, he was the body part he was the arm for was the Jewish people. You feel what I'm saying? The Rothschild and them. So, but we'll get into that next week. This guy knows all about that stuff, and he's kind of gonna allude to it, but not really. But in a second, I want to go over something called B'nai B'rith, because that's literally how all this gets started. B'nai B'rith means sons of the covenant. It was started October 13th, 1843. This is the founders of the B'nai B'rith are the ones who came up with the ideas for the Balfour Declaration. You know what I'm saying? They came up with the ideas for the Jewish state of Israel, right? And you'll get all their names before the end of the video. And yeah, they're the ones that basically got together to start the Anti-Defamation League and what it is now. They're the rabbis that started the ruling that it was okay for slavery to happen, and they based it off the Bible so that the Christians wouldn't feel bad about it, right? They gave all these rulings. So we're going to find more about that out, right, in a second.
It is the beginning of the nightmare known as black fake Jewish relations. Because it's more than just how we relate, but it's who we claim we are while we're relating. That's as important as what they claim they do or have done for us for so long as you come.
All right. So it's who they claim to be while they're relating to us, because this is about black and Jewish relations, right? If you've ever taken any type of African American studies class before, they teach you about this thing they call black and Jewish relations. And you wonder, what the hell is that? Because you ain't friends with no Jewish people. You ain't never met a Jewish person. You ain't never known them to be cool with none of us. None of that crap, right? I knew one or two when I was little, but that's it. And it's because the school was black, so they had to try to fit in. Wasn't no crackers. But I'm saying, like, so we in a situation where when they don't have to deal with us, they don't deal with us. So where does this idea of black and Jewish relations come from? Well, it comes from the fact that they had to make it up, right? They had to attach themselves to certain things in our history, like the civil rights movement, right? The gay rights movement, so that they could say that we're alike in some type of way. They had to raise us up and make it possible for us to reach a certain status in America, which is where you get your sports from and your athletes and all that type of stuff, right? So that basically is how you end up in a situation that you're in now, where now we could get to this prominence. You could become a Steve Harvey. You could become a Shaq. You know, all you have to do is do exactly what we say, right? So that's kind of what he's going to get into in a second. But it starts with the B'nai B'rith. He's not going to break down what it is. So when he says the name, I want you guys to understand who that is. The guy who's going to start with, Rosenwald, we'll get into him in a second. But I wanted y'all to know the B'nai B'rith and all that type of stuff when he talks about it, so that, you know, we don't have to break it down later.
And so we understand that since the time of 1915, Jewish philanthropy, led by Julius Rosenwald, who was a part of the founding of Sears and Roebuck. Y'all got the cards in your pocket. I seen them. I seen you at Sears.
This from 93, Coakley dead. But yeah, I know Knock was going to Sears and everything. I used to be at Sears too. My mom and dad used to go there. We used to go to Foot Locker and get the shoes, and then they used to make us get one pair of shoes from Sears. So nobody knew they had bread. We were there. Yeah. Crazy stuff. Good old days. But yeah, Sears was owned by the good old Jewish man, right? And the store that all the niggas used to go to for their lawnmower equipment and for their outside stuff, for their clothes, for their mattresses, for their pillowcases, and for the cheap ass shoes they was gonna get their kids. Sears, right? That was owned by the man that put you in captivity. So literally, when it says you will go to your master for once of all things, you went there for Sears. In the 80s, it was the #1 retail store. Like, you know, you go to Walmart now, which is also owned by Jewish people. You go to Sears, right? Waltons are Jewish. For those of you that didn't know, they just dropped their Jewishness like all the rest of the Jewish people. But, you know, Sears was before Walmart. So the whole time you've been going to them for everything, right? Okay. Come on, YouTube. Don't do it to me.
Sears, I got pictures.
There we go.
I got the Marcus, you got the pictures? Brother Astanu got the pictures in the back. So we know it
All right now.
didn't make any difference that you could do business with co-op. You thought co-op mean cooperative. But the Rosenwalds looked at the danger of not infiltrating and demanding and controlling black leadership because Leo Frank was the first white man in the history of America ever convicted on the testimony of a black person. And that so scared them that the International Order of B'nai B'rith, whose first chapter was 1843 in Cincinnati.
It wasn't Cincinnati, it was New York. But and Salakia, for that part, for some reason, the video gets quiet when it starts talking about the main organization you need to know. I don't know how they be messing with people's electronics and stuff, but they be doing it, bro. And there's names and stuff they don't be wanting y'all to hear. No matter what copy of this video you got, every time they say the B'nai B'rith part and they give you the name and where they started and all that type of stuff, it get real quiet, so it's hard for you to hear. But he said that it started 1893 in Cincinnati. That was wrong. Coakley was wrong for once. It actually started in New York because I fact checked it.
Which had just changed its name from Porkopolis, where the first Jewish family, the first family ever in the history.
It's gonna get loud in a minute.
Put their name on a pork product and sold it as food. Prior to that, it was for soap, lime, and other nasty jobs before they found people would eat it. So the International Order of B'nai B'rith was involved in the Civil War. It made a note of assuring that the rabbis gave the rabbinical ruling that justified slavery using the Bible.
Now, we as Israelites know why slavery was justified, right, in the Bible, because of things we did wrong, right? Also, because of things we don't do right, which is going to allow them to go into slavery to us, right? That's how it worked. So the Most High's judgment is like the ring, right? His judgment like a ring. So what go around, come around. You know what I'm saying? The faith, the patience of the saints is that he that led us into captivity gonna go into captivity. Who you think gonna be leading them? Us, right? Just like he led us, we gonna be leading them. So that's the way it works. And Isaiah 14 goes into that. So we know why the slavery was, upheld in the Bible. The problem is the Jewish man used that to his advantage. The Jewish man used that to his advantage when it came time for, them to actually do it, which is also why Obadiah talks about them hating us so much and everything like that, right? And other scriptures as well talk about the hatred. And that's the main reason the Most High hated them, because they literally took advantage of us and used our situation in, our downfall as a position to lift themselves up, right? And he's kind of going to get into it, but he don't know to talk about it from that standpoint because he's Afrocentrist, not an Israelite, which is why at the end of the Bible, at the end of the lecture, he says the people that actually believe in the Bible, they need to be the ones that step up and talk about this, which is why we're doing this tonight, because we're the ones that actually believe in the Bible.
You will not find any overt Jewish declaration against slavery in any document available in his story, because he had no position against slavery. And if you read him carefully, he will tell you he had no such position.
And me as an Israelite, I have no such position, right? Because I know it's going to happen to them. And I don't want nobody trying to stop me when I got my 1,500,000 Edomites, Moabites, Elamites. I don't know if I want none of them. They stink. But you know what I'm saying? So when I got them on my plantation, I don't want nobody like Coakley trying to tell me I can't do it. Nah, he was gay anyway. Wasn't he? Not there. You on mute.
Who were you referencing? I didn't hear you.
Was Coakley gay? I heard he was a flaming homosexual.
I don't know. I think I heard that too, but I don't remember seeing anything that suggested that for me.
He might have just said that because they killed him. So yeah, there might just be something they said.
I'm not sure.
But rumor has it he was gay. He got a daughter, but rumor has it he was on the down low. But I don't know. Either way, he was smart, and they killed him because of this lecture.
So we're still looking at when did the.
By the way, this is the same day he did the lecture for the Boule thing. So it's the same. Yeah, he got killed because of this video. Just so you got.
Black that Jewish thing get going, and what did you come into it with? Because if you supported what put us in the jam, how you gonna show up and get us out? Now, these
All right. So if they supported what put us in the jam, how they gonna show up and get us out? But that's what they've led us to believe that they've been trying to do this whole time, right? With the civil rights movement and all those other things that they claim they helped us with. They put us in the bind, and then we're the first people to step in front of us and tell us, hey, here's a solution, right? Why don't you march? And we're gonna help you. We'll fund it. Do this, that, third, blah, 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 blue, right? When you look at the people that helped Martin Luther King and his homeboy, the COINTELPRO dude, I forget his name, but him and the dark skinned nigga, right? And Bayard, Gayard, Rustin, when the three of them was getting their help in the civil rights movement, they weren't getting help from rich black people. They was getting help from Jewish folks.
That's right.
Right? And we're gonna talk about why. Remember the name of Rosenwald, right? That guy he was just talking about. Rosenwald had a fund. I want to just pull this out for you in a second because it's gonna make everything that homeboy finna say in a second make a lot of sense. So Rosenwald has this fund, right? Remember how Coakley was just talking about how there's this guy named Rosenwald. He starts this Jewish philanthropy, and that's really what started black and Jewish relations, right? It's this black philanthropy at the hands of Jewish people, right? So what you got to understand is Julius Rosenwald, he's the one that started it, right? He's the father of Jewish philanthropy. This is his ugly behind right here, right? Looks like Professor X. So the real one. So he was a Jewish American businessman and philanthropist, best known as the part owner of Sears, because after Sears and Roebuck had their split, Roebuck left and Sears had to be funded by somebody, right? So Sears went to Rosenwald, and Rosenwald decided to fund Sears, but he kept the Sears Roebuck name there, right? Then eventually they just dropped it to Sears. But Rosenwald was the money man for it the entire time that it was really big, right? Up until the time that he died and everything like that. And then further on, it was his money that catapulted it into the machine that it had become before it crashed, right? So this is Rosenwald. The thing I want you guys to check out, though, is this Rosenwald fund. I don't know. Can y'all see this? Is this showing the Rosenwald fund? All right, bet.
Yeah.
So watch this. This is interesting. So Rosenwald had a fund, right? Let me see. It was established in 1917 by Julius Rosenwald and his family for the well-being of mankind, right? So he goes from being this guy who starts the funding of Sears. He's a philanthropist. Now all of a sudden he's Bill Gates. Wants to start things for the well-being of mankind, right? Now watch this. He was the serving president from 1908 to 1922, right, of the Sears and Roebuck Company. He also, hold on, now Chicago Commission of Race Relations in 1919, right? So keep this in mind. He gets the race relations job because of certain things he was doing for race relations in Chicago at that time. What do you mean? Well, Coakley was just talking about how certain black people needed to be moved up in the ranks, right? For this thing to be believable. This black race relations thing, right? Well, the main guy moving us up in the ranks, giving us our first shot at stardom and money in America, other than us having to start our own business and be, entrepreneurs in Black Wall Street before they tear it down. As we're building that up in places where they don't have a Black Wall Street per se, this guy is giving black people their shine, right? On purpose, mind you. So it says, unlike other endowed foundations, which were designed to fund themselves in perpetuity, meaning like crackers, right? The Rosenwald Fund was designed to expend all its funds for philanthropic purposes before a predetermined sunset date. So you got to spend all this money before a certain date that nobody knows. It donated over 70 million in the early 19 mother trucking hundreds. What you think that would equivalent to today? equate to? Huh? 70 million in the early 1900s when
Right.
you could take a whole house for $150, nigga. Okay? This white guy got 70 million to blow. Who's he blowing it on, right? Before this specific date. Well, I'll tell you, niggas. Watch this. 70 million to public schools, you know. What's that girl? Ruby Bridges? Y'all seen that movie, right? Who you think funded that? Rosenwald. Colleges, black universities, HBCUs.
That's right.
Black people getting to go into, you know, colleges like University of Georgia and Georgia State, right? Who you think funded that? The Rosenwald Foundation. Okay. Universities. We just mentioned that. Museums. Oh, the Slave Museum, the African American History Museum, the NAACP Museum. Who that? Rosenwald. Of course, the Jewish charities, that's his people. And just African American institutions, period, nigga. Before their funds depleted in what year is this? What year?
Huh? Isn't that something?
Because I can't read.
1948.
What else happened in 1948, Knock? Tell me right quick.
The establishment of the state of Israel, as we know today.
Y'all see where we going with this? He had to spend all the funds on the niggas before they established the state in Israel. Why is that?
Crafty counsel.
Crafty as a mother. Crafty as Joe Biden.
God.
Crafty as Donald Trump in the bankruptcy and tax code. It was crafty. Crafty counsel. Crafty counsel indeed. So let's get back to Coakley. Now that y'all understand Rosenwald, right? And if y'all want, y'all could go back on that Wikipedia page and y'all could look up all the black people from the early 1900s that got their shine from the Rosenwald Fund, right? You'll be surprised. All the jazz singers, all the TV stars we had back in the day, they all came from this one crackerjacker right here. All of them got their money from him. That's where the music industry gets their funding of the black man through the record label. That's where the TV industry gets their funding of the black man through production companies.
Yep.
They had a business model and they followed it to every freaking business they wanted to get involved in. That's how the Jewish man uses the black woman in corporate America to do whatever the hell he wants.
Bring that out. Yep.
It's a business model that they followed. So we're going to let the good brother Coke and Choke pause. Hope he ain't really, let me not give him that nickname. We're going to let Steve Coakley tell you guys what really happened.
The fake black Jewish relations. Saw that during the Reconstruction period, we understand that Jewish wealth, which can be documented in the book Our Crowd by Stephen Bingham, went into the South and facilitated the trading of cotton from the shores of Louisiana and other spots to Britain and to France. So they did.
If you watched our video on the Atlantic slave trade and the video we did on the ships around the same time that we did the video on the white boy we was just talking about, the Jewish guy, the ADL dude, I just forgot his name, Leo Frank, right? Anne Frank cousin. So mind you guys, y'all should look up the connection between Leo Frank and Anne Frank. It's funny.
Right.
So but so like that whole situation there, right? It puts us in a situation where it's proof with the facts that they have on the slave ships. When you look up who funded them, who insured them, rather, you see all the Jewish names and stuff like that. Well, the stuff Farrakhan put out there in them 2 books he made in the 90s, right? It was using the same information that Coakley got because, well, now that information's on the internet for everybody to find. And if anybody doesn't believe that the Jewish people had something to do with the slave trade, just to show you, I know I'm leaving the video a lot. I'm sorry. This last couple times we're going to do it. But there's an article from the 90s from The Atlantic. That's a good newspaper, right, Knock? They reputable, you would say?
God.
Okay. Well, this is from the Atlantic, 1995, the greatest year alive, right? When the good brother Eliel was born, right? It's also a bad year because, well, nah, that's 96. Never mind. 95, the best year, right? Anyway, so this is the Atlantic. It's telling you a lot of stuff about Jewish slave trade and everything, but I'm gonna read this little part right here, and then we got another one we're gonna read. So it says, almost as soon as it appeared in 1991, The Secret Relationship generated a controversy, which is a book, The Secret Relationship, generated a controversy centered more on its intentions than its scholarship. The noise level was heightened in 93, which is the same year that this lecture by Coakley is being done, mind you, by the turmoil that swirled around Professor Tony Martin of Wesley College, a tenured professor in Wesley Department of Africana Studies. Martin assigned to one of his classes portions of the book. So African American Studies teachers like mine, shout out to Matthew Quest, and this dude, Martin, they got their classes reading books that tell the truth about Jewish people, right? So it goes like this. It says, the class portions of the book, which singles out Jews for special prominence in the Atlantic slave trade. This is from the Atlantic in 1995. Telling you that the book made in 91 that was brought out in 93 due to controversy because kids in college read the book and found out about the Jews having something to do with the slave trade, right? The Atlantic is telling you about it because they had a problem with the Jews in the 90s too, right? NWA had a problem with the Jews in the 90s. Everybody hated the Jews in the 90s, which was part of their plan because it allowed them to make the Anti-Defamation League what it is today. Now you can't say nothing about the Jews in the 2000s. See how that works? It was a game plan, and they followed it to the very end, right? But anyway, it says the class portions of the book, which singles out Jews for their special prominence in the Atlantic slave trade and for having played a particularly prominent role in the enslavement of all you niggas in America. He was accused of anti-Semitism. Of course he was, right? And wrote a brief book to refute the charges. So he made a book making the charges, The Secret Relationship. You should go get it. It's on Amazon right now. The title of Martin's book to refute it was The Jewish Onslaught, because that's what they'll do. Onslaught your ass. Depatches from the Wesley Battlefront, right? So that's that. Y'all could go watch that too to see how he got on them about that, because he put some good stuff in that book as well. It says, gave a clear preview of his opinions. It was a mixture of discussion, factual refutation. So mind you, the Atlantic also published this, right? And they called it factual refutation. So he's refuting it with facts, not things that he's just pulling out his butt crack, right? So that's something else to put in mind and to keep in your forefront of your head. Because if you do actually get this book and read it, a lot of things he says are the exact same things that you hear us Hebrew Israelites say every single time we talk about the Jewish people, right? It's the same things you heard Farrakhan write in his book, same things you hear Coakley talking about in this lecture, right? So there's the last pre-denominated with paragraphs that opened using language like to the Jews and to the favorite Negroes who have insisted on attacking me. Who? The favorite Negroes, they're the boule, the gatekeepers, right? Because they got to let the scary black man do the dirty work for them, right? Sometimes they don't have a scary black man. They just got a Diddy or TD. Take that, Jakes, right? But it's all for a purpose, depending on the crowd that they're trying to invigorate, right? So it says, his views on the secret relationship use a historical materials amounted to a big barrage of enthusiastic endorsements. So Martin's assertion that Jews were very much in mainstream of European society as far as the trade of African human beings was concerned was very close to what many Jewish scholars had claimed 30 years before. In case y'all didn't understand what I was reading, it literally just said Martin made the claim that Jews were part of the mainstream society that was trading Negroes, right? And that there's proof that these very Jewish people had their own scholars writing down that they too were a part of the slave trade, funding it, as we saw in that video we did last year, right? Making the ships, paying for the ships, ensuring the people that get on the ships, not the people that are sailing, but the merchandise on the ships, you know, the chattel slaves. Those people were insured by the Jewish man. And it's all documented proof that their scholars put out there for us to find, right? So that's one little article on that. Something else, real quick. Jews in the slave trade, just the facts. This is from the Harvard Crimson. Shout out to Harvard University. It says, throughout Linford Jeffries' speech last Wednesday, he reiterated a call to audience. Be prepared, he told students, to form study groups for the truth has to be heard. And I and several others did precisely that before his visit. Let me see. Where am I trying to get to? Blah, blah, blah. All right. I'll take the charges at one time. The Dutch East India Company, which if you followed the video me and Knock did on King James and his family and how they lost the throne and it was used against them, right? The Dutch East India Company should be a company that comes to mind and is familiar to your recollection, right? It says this Dutch East India Company did not deal in the slave trade, right? Which we know because it was started by King James and his people, right? As for the Portuguese company, which took over the Dutch East Indian Slave Company, as it was going to be called, and the Brazilian company, which would be the Portuguese company that took people to Brazil, I can only assume Jeffries meant the Brazil company, which is what I just said, founded by Portugal to attack Jews, which would be us. It too did not deal in slavery. Of the four, only the Dutch West India Company, which became Dutch East India Company and then bought the Portuguese company and then the Brazilian company, if you watch the video that we did, right? Did in fact deal in the slave trade. Of the company's 3 million florins in original capital, Jews contributed to 36,000 or 1.2%. So it's telling you not us Jews, but Jewish people, right? The people who put up the money, right? The 36,000 were Jews. And this was in 1671. All right. So just a little proof in case anybody didn't see the video, but there's a lot more proof in the videos that we did already, right? So let's get back to the video. That's just the proof that they did indeed do what he just said and fund the slave trade.
Louisiana to Britain and to France. So they did not stop the cotton slavery. They, in fact, were the merchants who benefited once it was baled and prepared to be used by other whites in other cave lands without God-blessed resources, creator-blessed resources. So subsequent to Reconstruction, where the word was, we cannot include any black man, not even a so-called free man. Around the turn of the 1900s, they began to recognize that they needed a few samples or models to show off to the others the so-called demonocracy system of the free world.
Now look, it started with your little celebrities, you know, your little jazz singers, right? They give you a Harlem. Now you got jazz singers, you got you know, piano players, got comics, comedians, right? But once you get past then it becomes the pimps and the drug dealers and all that type of stuff, right? But aside from that, the reason it's where it's at now with the social media and you know you got the Love and Hip Hops and you know Lil Babies, the Forex scammers, all them different people, right? That are getting a chance to shine right now and stuff like that. That are making regular people outside the truth envy that type of lifestyle and everything like that, right? It's all orchestrated by the same people he's talking about now. And it's just a plan that has evolved over time. But the plan has always been to, like he said, make the Negroes the lower class and then give them an upper class sect of Negroes to aspire to be, right? So everybody's going to want to be a doctor and a lawyer at the time that the doctors and the lawyers are getting the shine. Once they move on, okay, it's enough doctors and lawyers. Let's leave that alone. Let's let them be entertainers, okay? Now they're singers and rappers. Right? Okay, all right, there's enough singers and rappers. Let's give them businesses now. COVID, right? Now they're letting you build businesses. There's enough of that? All right. Let's crash the economy. Fuck it. It's coming. Ding. So keep that all in mind.
And that involved building and developing a cadre of Negroes who could symbolically represent a class who was exploited, who, based upon information trickery, white knowledge, use these Negroes as examples for all others that if you just behave, the American dream will work for you. Mm-hmm. And they began to develop, or this starts the development of the making of the Negro. This making of the Negro was being prepared for Black-Jewish relations because there was no Negro to pair off with. So you couldn't have a Black-Jewish relationship if you didn't have a group of Blacks who other Blacks were told are the Blacks to believe in. So they had to create an image that these were the Blacks and that all other Blacks would give honor and tribute to these Blacks who represent you in a dialogue of fake relations.
You see that? That's your gatekeepers, the boule, right? That's your Black and Hispanic caucus. They represent you in fake relations. They go to these congressional meetings and do these fake votes where they just sit there and drink coffee and talk about sports. That's it. Because the real decisions aren't made in those rooms. They're made by the Bilderbergers. They're made by the B'nai B'rith. They're made by the other corporations that we know about, right? Them big time secret societies and stuff. Those are the ones that make the decisions for the corporation known as America. Everything else is orchestrated, right? The people pulling the puppet strings are, in fact, the House of Amalek, right? The Chief Duke in charge. The Roths, the Jewish man, right? So that's the first part. Give me Psalm 83. Because in case you guys didn't understand, that's what we're getting into here, right? The actual crafty council. It's very deep. It's way deeper than the two classes we're going to be doing. But this is literally that, right? And we'll get into the state of Israel, right? How the bastard's dwelling there now and he's taking the pride of the Philistines, right? Taking it as we speak. All of that is stuff that prophetically is happening. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. All this stuff is stuff that's prophetically happening. But I just was trying to see if I'm going to be good on the screen. Guess not. But it's prophetically happening, right? But certain things we're still waiting on to happen in the physical. And that's what we're kind of seeing. We're seeing how they made their things happen in the physical, right? Through not just their secret organizations, but a literal plan that they had, that they enacted, that they followed, right? Since the time of the 1700s when they converted to Judaism. The plan has just evolved over time. But since the 1800s, the late 1800s, in the Balfour Declaration, they've had a distinct plan put forth by the Rothschilds. And there's a manifesto called the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. And guess what? Due to them being now a part of the American corporation, they have to make it public. But the good thing about America, they know they can make it public, and not many people are going to give a damn because most people don't care about stuff like that, for one. And two, America, well, it's the land of the stupid and home of the dummies. So if they put it out there, people still wouldn't know what to do with it anyway. So it's out there, and we're gonna look at it today, right? Just a preface, and it's a free PDF, so all of you can go and download it and read it while you're at work, doing nothing, instead of taking a nap you be taking, right? When you're supposed to be filing papers and stuff. So, on the good old white man's time. That's your brother, you know, Ak. You know, the Christians say Esau your brother. You know what I'm saying? Can't be wasting his time when you're at work.
We saw very carefully that Jewish philanthropy said we will help the Negro because he will help us.
Hell yeah. And he's helping them right now. You see what Floyd Mayweather do? What Kanye do? Huh? Ain't the Negro helping them?
Head of the Jewish community, and anything any of the other ones did, it was only because he said so.
He's talking about the Rothschild. So now we're going to get into how they stole your identity, right? We've got into the game plan, the Crafty Council. Can you read that for me right quick, Knock? You on mute. My bad.
Khan. This is the book of Psalm, chapter 83, and verse 1. Keep not thou silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head.
Yeah, they've made a tumult, literally, right? We're going to create the Negro man, the Negro woman, right? We're going to make them the lowest class in America after slavery. We're going to destroy Black Wall Street so that they can't make themselves a high class in America. And we're going to make them a high class. Any of them that come up is going to be due to something we orchestrated and allowed to happen. And when enough of them have come up due to that orchestrated event, we're going to stop it. Or at least control it, right? There's a certain number of athletes on every team. There's ones you know and ones you don't. There's some that get to make it to that level for a small amount of time. They get to make what they can make, and then they out the gate, out the revolving door for another nigga to come through, right? That's how they keep it going. You got your stars at the top that will always be the stars, usually because they agreed to be gatekeepers. Then you got the ones that, you know, were really good, that they needed to help out, that didn't agree to be gatekeepers, so they get to get in and get out. Then you got the ones that just help out. They might be practice squad, you know, potential. They get to make their little 500,000 and leave, and pray that, you know, they can make something out of that and don't end up having to be middle class later on in life. That's the revolving door of the athletic community, right? And ironically, that's the community that makes most of us rich. More of us become rich as athletes than we do business people or, you know, entertainers and stuff. Or we'll say athletes and entertainers than we do business people. We got doctors and lawyers that are Black and Hispanic that are struggling. Right? So it's because you can kind of control your destiny as a doctor and lawyer. If you're in the entertainment space, they can control your destiny. So, you know, the rewards are more appealing when they can control it, because that's their whole plan. They want the Black and Hispanic and Native American people that make it in America. The vast majority of the people that made it, they want to be because of them, so that they can control it and decide what you do with it. Right?
Right.
So let's move on. Now he's going to get into the Rothschilds. Oh, keep going on that. My bad. Crafty Council.
This is verse 3. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together, for they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee.
Yep. Who?
The tabernacles of Edom.
The first one, right? That's all I need. So they number one, Edom, the white man, because they the ones that came up with the plan. It's theirs. Esau, the chief duke of Esau, Amalek, his favorite grandson, right?
Who's also mentioned.
Yeah. So Amalek is the one who's, orchestrating all this. Coakley, at the time of this video, he thinks Amalek is the little white man. It's because he doesn't understand the full scope yet, right? I don't even know if he understood it before he got killed. But he didn't understand it at this time of the video. He was getting close, but didn't understand it. We understand it. They're not the small white man. They let them believe that they're smaller in number, right? It's few of them in the sect of Judaism or Jewishness, so to speak. But they're really the big white man because they're the ones with all the power, right? If you're a regular so-called white man in America, you could be poor. If you're a Jewish man, chances are it's impossible for you to be homeless or something like that in America. Because they have a community that stands on holding each other up. And they've got endless resources to do so. But the Rothschilds.
So when you go to talk about the dialogue with them over Jewish relations, you say, let me start with Baron the Rothschild. He ain't even the first generation of the granddaddy Rothschild, but he's just manifest in the late 1800s in England, who shows up on the docket of Assistant Cecil Rhodes to colonize Azania. So we start there with the top daddy manifesting of the Jewish community, Rothschild. Rothschild wanted to assist Cecil Rhodes in amalgamating the gold and diamonds in South Africa because Cecil Rhodes could give him something that he wanted. There was a Jewish guy there in South Africa named Bernie Bonato. He was the #1 competitor to Cecil Rhodes for eating up and buying all of the wealth of the diamonds and the gold. A Jewish man named Alfred Bett took Rhodes to England and met him with Rothschild, and there...
Man, my bad. I don't know why I stopped him like that. I'll give it a second to buffer. So just to let y'all know the backstory. He's giving you guys a story on how not only how the Rothschilds came to prominence and got their connections, he's giving you the connection of how the Rothschilds got their power, right? So there's a diamond guy he's talking about right now, and Benito's going to get thrown overboard. The guy that takes the wealth of him, right, is Rothschild and this other guy he's going to mention in a minute. So from there, Rothschild and the other guy are going to come together with Lord Balfour, right? And Chaim Weizmann. He's not going to mention all of them. He'll mention Lord Balfour. But these guys that I introduced you to in the Balfour Declaration video, right? That's when the Rothschild is going to, David Rothschild, whatever his name is, he's going to, or Jacob, whatever, he's going to basically go and befriend those guys, have them come up with the plan for the Jewish state with that other guy he's gonna mention. I forget his name, starts with an F. And we'll look him up too in a minute. But that dude, he's basically gonna put him in a situation where it's his whole plan to start the Jewish state. Lord Balfour and the Rothschilds basically fund it. Lord Balfour has him write the letter due to his connections and is able to send the letter off to America. And the Rothschilds were the ones that funded it. And that's how they were able to keep their position once everybody moved to Israel and also once they moved to the Americas, right? That's how the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers got their spot because they were the main ones funding everything once it happened, right? Mainly the Rothschilds, but the Rockefellers moved in as we come to America. You'll learn about them next week.
Rothschild decided to help the Anglo and not the Jewish man. Why did he not help the other Jewish guy and side with Cecil Rhodes? Because the other Jewish guy, Bernie Bonato, had no power in England.
Cecil Rhodes, right? So Cecil Rhodes is going to be somebody that helps him with I think his name's Finkel or something like that. We'll get his name in a minute, the other guy. But Benito, he's basically the richest man in the world at the time, biggest diamond collector. And once they kill him off, that's how the Rothschilds get control of all the diamond districts in Africa, which gives them the diamond districts that we know as the diamond district that we know of in New York, where they sell all the diamonds, right? It's where your Target, your Walmart, your Zales, your Jared, right? K Jewelers. It's where all them get their damn diamonds from. Aviani and Co., Raffaello and Co., right? Icebox Jewelry. They all get their diamonds from the Diamond District, which gets their diamonds from the Rothschilds. That's how they stay rich. And the Rothschilds got their diamond business from a man they threw over the ship named Benny Benito. About to hear the story.
And because he had no power in England, if Rothschild assisted him, all he would have was more money. He needed something that money couldn't buy. He needed to start a state. And he needed a state because the people who were claiming that they were waiting for a Messiah had a meeting one day and said, man, by what year, Rabbi?
Listen carefully to this.
The Messiah is going to come and lead us to the promised land. Wherever we're supposed to go, it's the Messiah who's supposed to lead us there. He said, well, I need to sit you down, my great-great-great-grandson, and tell you the story about how you got in this position. The story starts way up in the Caucasian Mountains, where we met with some people on the other side who taught us a story about the chosen people. We mimicked the story, but the story really wasn't about us. It was about them. So we came down the hill and repeated the story to the people who would hear it. And as long as the real one didn't come across the mountain, no one ever knew the difference.
Nobody knew.
In fact, we were known then as the Khazarians. He said, son, there's no Messiah gonna come free us. That movie Exodus and all that other stuff, all that Charlton Heston and all that, said, we lied, son. Son of son. And son says, Rabbi, what we gonna do? Rabbi says, well, we're gonna shift our strategy and we're gonna no longer wait on a Messiah. We're gonna go out and get some of these damn politicians to recognize us as the chosen people. You just hold on. Our man Rothschild got a deal working with Rhodes where he's going to get his buddy Lord Balfour to declare that the British government would not look unfavorably upon us finding a state in a land where people already live. He said, well, what's the state called? I said, well, we're still debating it. We know if we're chosen.
Y'all know the story he's telling you, right? He's literally... Go ahead, knock you on mute.
I believe it's where they were literally trying to find different. They actually had different areas that they were claiming they would claim that it's the state of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't just where it actually is today,
right? Because you know why? They looked at how big Israel actually was supposed to be according to the Bible,
right?
And they saw all the places it could hit. He's gonna tell you Uganda. Because he know it go all the way down there, right? But they stopped where it was less black, right? More desolate. Let's just take that shit from the Palestinians. They ain't gonna need it. They don't need all that land, right? So, watch this. But of course, this guy, he's calling occupied land because he don't really believe in the Bible anyway. He thinks the Palestinians always been there. So,
we need to be in Uganda. But I think we may pull up short and come over here to this other area we'll rename the Middle East, and this is Palestine, they call it now. So he said, but you're right, Chief. If we are the chosen people, we're going to have to go to Ethiopia. He said, we won't last long there now, but somewhere around 93, we'll get control of Ethiopia after we pull out all the so-called Falashas and take them to another land. Then we'll move in and starve the population and take control of that country first.
Now, if you paid attention to the video me and Knock did about how they're moving the fake Jews to, Israel, how they started, and this is also how they started teaching our people in West Africa that they were the Northern Kingdom, right? They used Falashas from Ethiopia to state that, they were the black Jews from the Southern Kingdom. So you black Jews got to be the Northern Kingdom, right? And they moved these people from the land of Cush that were already where they were born to to the land we were supposed to have. Right? This was also part of the crafty council.
I said it, brother. That's the truth. That's the core truth.
Crazy how this is all in the video,
huh? Captain.
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, I'm just my mind is is kind of open with this topic here. Would you say then, since they were trying to choose an area to call the new state of Israel, right? So they chose Palestine, right? When was the Suez Canal built or created?
Let's look it up. Them time periods are very close together. We've been talking about the 1886 is when Crowdy started his thing. 1893 is when, or Crowdy started his thing in 93. FS Cherry started 86. Suez Canal
69
built in it
was in 1800s.
In 1869.
But let's be real with that though too, because before that, yeah.
But you got to remember, B'nai B'rith, the secret order that started all of this, was formed in 1843.
Right.
They had time to think all this out.
That's right.
They knew they were moving to Israel before the Balfour Declaration was on paper. They knew they were moving to Israel when they started B'nai B'rith.
You mean Palestine? Let's say it like that, because when you
yeah, in Palestine, they knew they were moving to Palestine, right?
Right.
In 1843.
Yeah.
They just were trying to devise a plan that was going to make everybody believe that that was their land.
That's
they knew the best way to do it was to make themselves be the Jews, still be the Jews when they get over there, right?
And not only that, but to separate, because remember, they said you can't go down to Uganda because it wouldn't last that long. So they had to find an area where they could actually use and possibly separate the situation. You have what used to be called.
Now they think it's coming to a halt. That's why everybody, the United Nations, is trying to stop everything with the war over there, because they see that Ishmael is trying to put a halt to it right now because they see they might have an opening. It's not going to work yet. You know what I'm saying? That ain't supposed to happen till World War III. But that's the reason why there was such a big, even Putin is moving away from his war over there in Ukraine and stuff like that to go to United Nations meeting about Israel and Gaza with China and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? They ain't talking to the United States, but they talking to them for this junk. Why? Because everybody's part of the crafty council, and they know that if this falls apart, their world falls apart as it stands. But go ahead, Knock. My bad.
No, but on your point though, from them choosing the areas of where they wanted to plant the state of Israel, I was sticking with the Suez Canal because we know that before the Suez Canal was created, that region and that area was not known as the Middle East. That only came after the Suez Canal, or at least was rightfully confirmed as the Middle East. Definitely after Suez Canal was built, because we know that region area in that area of Canaan was known as Northeast Africa. That was a part of it, right? So once everyone, once we fled up out of there, and you're replaced by all the other groups that came in afterwards for so many years, including the Palestinians that are there now. That seemed to be like the best place to start and use that crafty council. So that's why they're there today. They picked a pretty good, because they couldn't pick anywhere else. They couldn't pick United States. They couldn't pick
where nobody was at. Well, people at.
Right.
And then they could, the people there are light skinned, so they could look, the ones that are Yemenite that been over there in the Middle East the whole time, and them Berber Jews that been in North Africa, they could move to Israel with the white, German, Polish, Russian ones. And if they pick enough of them, right, then they could start. You look Middle Eastern. So now that's the point. Jewish population that looks like a Jewish population instead of looking like regular white people. So now they authentically can claim the land because they made everybody from the land look like that.
Right. They actually turned Middle Eastern into a color. I'm still figuring out. I haven't seen the color in my kid's crayon box yet.
But they think Jesus was the color Middle Eastern.
I'm looking for that color for real. Still today, I'm looking for that color. Somebody
Not
show me.
Sandy Brown. It's Middle Eastern.
Right.
Because they know Middle Eastern at a place, so it got to be a color.
Right.
All right.
And we'll do it. Just we have to wait 100 years. This is about 1893. So.
All right. So that's that on that part. Whew. And I mean, to get this part right, just to get into it, we ain't gonna get the scriptures, but Leviticus 26, right? Verses 27 to 33. Leviticus 26, 27 to 33. It literally talks about how the Most High would leave the land desolate. So the fact that these people didn't leave the land desolate, right? They moved into it and tried to make something out of it, proves they're not the people, right? That's something Moses told us. Then you got Zechariah 9:6. Talks about the bastard dwells in Ashdod and takes away the pride of the Philistines. That's
Right.
literally going into what we have going on right now, right?
Right.
So the bastard, the son of Isaac with no father for real, because he ain't part of the covenant that's connected to the Most High, right? The Most High being our father, he don't have the Most High, so he's a bastard, right? He just moved to the Most High's promised land to his sons. So the bastard dwells in the promised land. He's in Ashdod, right? He ain't in the entire promised land, but he's there. And other heathen have allotted it too, which is why the Bible talks about the heathen have allotted our land. Because Uganda isn't where the Egyptians are supposed to be at, original Egyptians. They're supposed to be in their land, right? Egypt, for the most part, ain't where it's supposed to be at. That's Israel. All them Muslims and Ishmaelites and Turkish people that live over there in that area, they're not supposed to be there. That's our land. A lot of Jordan, a lot of what's that other place? Syria, that belongs to us.
Right.
So, like, you know, they allotted it. They stole the land. So Zechariah 9:6 proves that, you know, they're the bastard that lives there. Nobody's supposed to be in the land but us. So but there's something he's gonna get into something real quick. I'm gonna let him finish. I'm gonna go into the protocols of the elders, and we'll be about finished.
Oh, Theodore Herzl, who is the father of political Zionism.
Theodore Herzl. That's a name you guys need to remember, right? He's not a name you hear a lot about, but he's the whole reason they have a Jewish state. It was his idea that for us to be political Zionists and to take over the world using the Bible and the identity of the Jews, we have to move to a Jewish state and have our own land where nobody could mess with us or kick us out for manipulating the money and taking over the banks. Because that's after the Jewish Inquisitions and the expulsion of the Jews in the 1300s and 1490s and stuff like that. The reason the Jews got kicked out of Europe the second time, and it wasn't us Jews, it was because the people that took our identity, they got kicked out of Europe because, well, they took over the banks like they did in America, but they didn't have the control like they do in America and the rest of the world at the time. So the kings and stuff like that knew that they were swindling people's money and stuff, kicked them out of the place that they were swindling the money, which is how they end up, you know, being known for being bank robbers and stuff like that, robbing the bank, working at the bank, right? And being good with money and financially motivated, all that type of stuff you know about Jewish people when it comes to monetary gain and stuff. They got their reputation because that's what they were kicked out of Europe for after we were put in slavery, right? And in the midst of them being kicked out of Europe, that's when the whole crafty council thing happens with Hitler, which we'll get into next week, because it didn't start as him hating them. It started with him being on their side and him being funded. The war he started, all that stuff was funded by Jewish people. Fagan's going to put the truth out on that, and we'll get into that next week. Just to tie it backfired on Hitler, and yeah, they killed him.
Goes to the Jewish wealthy and finally finds a friend in Rothschild who will finance his thought about a Jewish state. Herzl, in fact, himself called himself an anti-Semite. He wasn't into the Jewish thing. He was an actor. It's like actors do a lot of political things. But Rothschild said, you stay over in the bullpen, Herzl. I got a deal working with Cecil Rhodes. As soon as I get this deal hooked, I want you to go over there. In fact, I tell you what, in the meantime, why don't y'all go over there and have a meeting? He said, what do we call it? He said, well, go get the 24 elders. They'll tell you what to do. And there became the meeting you know as the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion.
I know y'all ain't never heard of that meeting before. Y'all ain't never ever in your life heard of the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion. You know why you ain't never heard of it? Because this video was made in 93. Back then, it was probably public knowledge that there was a meeting where Jewish people have called the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. Now, you didn't even know that there's Elders of Zion. Because niggas like Stokely put it out there, and they've now made it a secret. It ain't something you're just going to find on the internet unless you know to look it up. Like King James being black. It ain't just going to pop up unless you know to type it in. Right? So there's things that he's saying openly in the video that brothers back in the 90s would have been able to find out. Like if the internet was as prominent as it is now, that Atlantic article I showed you from 95 would have been the first thing to pop up when you type in somebody Jewish people.
Right.
But it's not like that now. They've had time to hide everything. They've had time to change the algorithms and to make things be in the order that they want it to be in, so that when you look stuff up, the right answer don't pop up all the time. Right? So Protocols of the Elders of Zion is one of those things. This is literally a PDF, you know. I'm going to show you. I'm not going to read probably a little snippet, but that's it. A little tiny snippet. But y'all can read it on your own. It's 97 pages. And it literally tells you everything that they plan on doing. And, well, in the words of Henry Ford, y'all know who that is. He says, in an interview published in New York World, February 17th, 1921, he put the case that Neelis tersely and convictingly thus. Now, Neelis is the man that translated this, right? He was killed. It says, the only statement I care to make about the protocols, which is this, is that they fit in with what is going on. They are 16 years old, and they have fitted the world situation up to this time. They fit it now. This is Henry Ford telling you that the things that he read in this thing that they let him read, these protocols that he was in the meeting of, because, you know, he was a president, he made the Ford company, all that type of stuff, right? He the biggest car guy in the world, also Jewish. Anyway, Henry tells you that everything in these protocols are, well, happening at the time that he's alive, and at the time the protocols are 16 years old. Well, now they're much older than that, and everything in the protocols is still happening now. They fit now, like he said, right? That's what this is, right? The word protocol signifies the precise gummed on the front of the document, a draft of a document, minutes of proceedings. In the instance, protocol means minutes of the proceedings, right? Like our camp, we keep minutes. Shout out to Yonatan. Of the meetings, which is the things you write down, the things y'all talked about, the things that are the order, right? The things that are going to be ordered or done as a result of the meeting that you guys had, right? Those are the minutes of the proceeding. It says, of the meetings of the learned elders of Zion. These protocols give the substance of addresses delivered to the innermost circle of the rulers of Zion. They reveal the concerted plan of action of the Jewish nation, developed through the ages and edited by the elders themselves up to date. So they edit this as go, or as need be, right? Something that gets edited as need be, something they can change as they want, and it continues to be changed, and it fits to this day. I guarantee you somewhere in there, it says show black couples and white couples, and then show interracial marriage, and then show overly homosexualized activity, and then show the LGBT community in heaven. Like all of that is part of the protocols. to mess up society, to keep the black man from knowing who he actually is, right? The Israelite. So that's the protocols. That's really the lesson. But let me see if there's one more part I want him to say for y'all, so I don't ever have to say it, because he's dead and I'm on the hate watch list. So better him say it than me, right now.
Huh. Let's see.
Oh yeah, 2 more minutes.
Are you looking for the video? Or what are you looking for?
Oh damn! I pressed play. I can't even hear it.
Yeah, it's not pulled up.
My bad. I'm sitting here listening to this nigga talk. I ain't even know what he said. Oh my goodness. So lucky.
These deviants that we're attacking are the political Zionists. They understand that the Creator has no place for what they're talking.
All right. So that's how they became political Zionists. The last part I want him to play here, the last part he's going to say before we close out, just to give you guys the whole gist, to let you know that, well, they knew who you was when they stole your identity. So I'm gonna let Knock get some sleep. 105.50. 42.
The whole tape out to articulate which sections they wanted to say they most disagreed with. So we have the privilege of them.
This is a lecture he did on them, and the Anti-Defamation League put out things that they didn't like that he said. They sent him back a copy with all the things blacked out in black that they wanted him to remove. And he's going to read those things because, well, we all know why they wanted those things removed. Part of this is why they no longer go by the name Ashkenazi Jew, because, well, like we put out the whole thing about them being Ashkenazi and it doesn't fit the correct biblical narrative. He actually put that out in his lecture, which millions of people have seen, so it made them change their name.
Putting in dark the parts that they hated the worst. And you need to know what.
And you best believe Coakley was in some One West classrooms and stuff like that. Just saying.
Of it, they hated the worst. See, this is in dark. See, the Ashkenazi Jews are named after Ashkenaz, who was the grandson of Japhet, who was one of the 3 sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, Japhet. Of course, Noah, now this is the biblical connection of this. Then it says Japhet's grandson is Ashkenaz, who derives his name Ashkenazi, which has Nazi, N-A-Z-I, in it. And in German, Ashkenazi is Hebrew. In Hebrew means German. It says, so it mentions that they changed their name from Israelis to Jewish faith. So
did y'all catch that? Ashkenazi means German. And when you listen to a German Jew that knows that that's what it means, he'll tell you the name just means we came from Germany. But yeah, it means the German, not Israelite, right? But he's going to get into this whole thing in a second. Even to the point where they tell you why they don't go by Israelite and it shows the name Israeli, right? It's all documented.
In other words, their mission was uniting people of the Jewish faith, not in the original I call it Israeli. See, now by using the word Israelites, you are in fact saying you are going to unite Africans, knowing that there shall be faulty connections to Israelis.
You see that? They didn't use the name Israelite because they knew it would be a faulty connection to Israelis, meaning they know that Israelite is niggas, Israeli is wiggers, so they can't be the same people. They can't connect. They can't be from the same land, being 2 different manner of people, as the Bible says we are, right? So instead of going to by the name Israelite, which naturally would have them to be connected to the people that knew they were Israelite, you know, the Igbo, the Limba, you know, all the people that they finding now that they're trying to say, oh yeah, they're them. Yeah. Those people knew they was Israelite. They knew that name. They knew that title. So they couldn't go by that. They had to be Israeli to make it seem, at least at the beginning of time that they were there, that there's no such thing as a connection between them and the black people that claim to have Jew-like heritage, right? So keep that in mind.
They, in fact, changed themselves, changed the names themselves, so that instead of calling themselves
So like you.
Israelites, they became Israelis.
So some of the Christians ask, why don't y'all call yourself Israelis and like the people from Israel now? Well, now you know, right? Israeli is not the real term for the people from the place from the biblical man Israel. They will be Israelites, descendants of the man Israel, right? Because it's a man and a person. I mean, it's a man and a place. So they're Israelites, right? Like, for example, the Ashkenaz, right? When you go into Germany and you look up the history of Germany, the place Germany used to be called Ashkenaz. That's why the Nazis called themselves Nazis. They were Ashkenazis, right? That was it. It was just short for Ashkenaz, or a nickname for Ashkenazi Nazis, right? Ashkenazi were the people from Ashkenaz. Ashkenaz was the name of Germany originally. After Ashkenaz, they changed it to Germany. So the Ashkenazi became German, which is why Ashkenazi means German in their contemporary Hebrew. Understand? That's what he was breaking down without breaking it down.
And uniting the Jewish faith as opposed to the Israelites, which would involve them dealing with other terms and people which would not fit their model.
And it would involve them dealing with the Torah, which also would not fit their model, because you can't put your mouth on a little boy's penis in the Torah. Go ahead, Ak.
Yes, Lakia. Did you want to clear up that because I heard when you said that Germany was Ashkenaz at first, because we hear the term Ashkenazi Jew, right?
Yeah.
Can you kind of clear up or maybe clarify the difference between, because Ashkenaz actually would be a son of Japhet as opposed to being a son of Shem.
Right.
Maybe
so
want
when you go into the map
clear up for somebody new in the audience.
No, facts. So when you go into Germany and stuff like that, what are biblical names, right? When you go into the biblical names of the nations, we'll say, and you get to Japhet, he has Gomer, he has I just went blank. I had a bunch of them in my head, in my face. But he has his names, his places, right? One of them was Ashkenaz. And then you've got, Cyprus, Gomer, Ashkenaz, all them people, right? So Ashkenaz would be where you see Germany today. If you looked at a biblical map and then you looked at Germany, it's the same place. Ashkenaz, Germany. When you look at the etymology of Germany, or when it got the name Germany, Wikipedia or whatever going to tell you whenever it got the name. Before that name Germany was given to it, it was called Ashkenaz, which also brings biblical validation to the names of the Bible, because they was calling Germany a biblical name before it was given the name Germany. Right? But people say the Bible not real. Well, why the hell a whole continent had that name then? I mean, the whole country had that name. So, but anyway, so like Germany is Ashkenaz, right? So Ashkenazi or Nazi was supposed to be the name that reflected the people from that place before it was Germany. And those Jewish people knew them being from the Caucasus Mountains, right? As he said earlier, them being the Khazarians, the original Jewish people, they knew that they came from that land, that they're from that region. So they became Ashkenazi Jews in order to connect themselves back to Germany, right? The reason they changed it, and what Coakley is explaining, is because once they actually read the Bible and realized what it said about the connection, and realized, well, if we're going to take the land, we got to have the whole connection story right too. Duh. Once they realized that, they looked at the book and said, damn, Ashkenaz ain't got nothing to do with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He on the other side of the fence. He ain't even with Shem. He's with his brother Japhet. He don't got no inheritance except the eyes of the Gentiles. That's it, which would include Germany, right? So they decide we're going to drop Ashkenaz and they're just going to be Jewish. And that's how the ISH got put on the end of the name. That's how Ashkenaz got dropped off it. And that's how, Germany got its name and how the Nazis got their name.
God. And not to, so that some, because there are some, there's some bug outs out there who say that because of Ashkenazi, that's why they claim that Esau is not the white man. So that's
right.
Right. That's why I want. Yeah. So I just wanted to have that clarity out there.
From Germany now, mind you, they moved there. They got kicked into Germany. They got kicked into the Caucasus Mountains by the rulers of the Byzantine Empire. And if you read the book, The 13th Tribe, right, which I wasn't going to do it, but since Coakley only got 2 more minutes to talk, might as well just show it to you right quick. Just to show it to you. I ain't going to read it. But if you look at this page right here, page 19 of the 13th Tribe, it actually tells you how they converted to Judaism in a day, right? If you look at page 16 and 17, it explains to you how they were in the Caucasus Mountains and they were used by the Byzantine Empire, right? They were used by the Byzantine Empire to protect them from the Muslims, right? And all the other people, the Franks and all them folks. So, that's basically what they were there for. And in the process of time, they became strong, changed their religion, and used it as political gain on their way back down from the Caucasus Mountains, which is also what Malachi talks about. Malachi got to see that vision where they were impoverished, living in the Caucasus as the Khazarians. They changed their identity and say, we're impoverished, but we're going to rebuild. And they rebuilt themselves through this period that we learn in school called the Renaissance, the rebirth, right? They rebuilt themselves as the Jewish people. That's what happened. They went from Khazars to Jewish. And then they rebuilt Christianity as a one world religion for everybody and named Judaism and Christianity and Islam at this time because they're fighting the Muslims as a Abrahamic religion.
Right.
Putting them all under one sect. Right? That's what the Jewish man did. That's what he's known for. So, but I'm going to let Coke get these last couple seconds and then we're going to get up out of here. Try to close right at 2 hours. And appreciate y'all for staying up this late today. But this is important.
So in 1897, when B'nai B'rith's membership was slightly more than 18,000, B'nai B'rith women were founded. And then, of course, subsequent to that, they were founded B'nai B'rith Youth Organization in 1924. The first B'nai B'rith Hillel organization was in 1923. The Hillel organization is the Jewish campus spy watch organization. UCLA has a Hillel house headed by Rabbi Schinderfeller. And of course, we had to attack the rabbi. Are you straight? I appreciate you, brother. We had to attack the rabbi for attacking the sisters who talked about in the NOMO, the protocols of the learned elders of Zion, before it was agreed that it would not be sold at the African Street Fest by Esselwan Bookstore to be in the festival named after the Africans.
So just to let you guys know what he was talking about, the reason I left that in there to let him talk before he says the last 2 minutes. He literally just told you that they be having African festivals, or they were having them in the 90s, where the Jewish man would go and pay people not to put up certain books. So say, for example, a brother had a bunch of copies of Russian icons. If they find out that he's planning on going to sell the books of Russian icons to the people at this, Hebrew Israelite festival, they'll send somebody out there to pay the guy not to sell the books. Hey, you ain't got to sell those books to nobody. We'll just give you this bread and you can motherfucking just give me all the books. I'll buy all of them right now.
Just buy all the books. Yeah.
Just to make sure you can't sell them so that none of the Negroes get them. That's how they keep certain information out of our communities. You'll put it in a position where the community can get it and they'll find out about it and rip it right from under your hand. Satan take away the word when it's established in your heart, right? Don't even get a chance to give it to anybody else. So I left that in there for a reason. But this last part, he's really gonna tell you that, well, they stole your identity. So watch this.
Controlled by the Zionists, who can pick out a book at any time in the middle of your thing and call it off limits as a condition of city funds. So the festival sat down with them and talked them out of it, because I was here on the last one, just to see where the book was. It was nowhere to be seen. Anyway, because we have to talk about Black Jewish slippage, because sometimes you may respect someone on an issue and they may be good on the issue, but a tougher issue may come up and they may be welting. And you need to know which race to bet on the right horse. So in 1923, they started the first Hillel House, which was at the University of Illinois. The Anti-Defamation League started in Chicago in 1913, the year Leo Frank was convicted. In 1923, at the University of Illinois was the first Hillel House, and soon started the B'nai B'rith Hillel Foundation. What I want to share with you is this part. It mentions that in 1908, the origins of the ADL. In 1908, B'nai B'rith and the London-based Jewish arm of Freemasonry formed a public relations committee in the United States, chaired by Bavarian-born Chicago corporate attorney Sigmund Livingston. By 1913, this committee had been renamed the Anti-Defamation League of B'nai B'rith, with Livingston continuing to be its chairman until 1933. So that means that those who are researching this through the tape, you need to look up the name Sigmund Livingston in Chicago in 1913. But also that trace it to 1908, that it was the B'nai B'rith, British B'nai B'rith chapter, who wanted a public relations arm in America. So the British B'nai B'rith chapter in 1908, which was the same time that Rothschild was sending people into Palestine to colonize, to settler colonize, it was the same time that Rothschild and Rhodes started the Rhodes Scholarship in the early 1900 period. 1908 was the first period that a Black Rhodes Scholar was selected, Elaine Locke.
See that? So I want to play this last part because some of y'all are probably not going to be able to connect the dots. So at the beginning of the video, I showed you guys, well, not showed you, but I went over a history of two guys prominent in the Hebrew Israelite community, right? F.S. Cherry and Will Crowdy, right? Both of them started between 1886 and 1993, right? And they ended early to mid 1900s. 1908, 1913, they're still working, right? So, and in Chicago, how many times did he mention Chicago and somebody involved in this ADL thing from Chicago? It was Chicago, Chicago, Chicago. Right. Chicago was big because that's where Crowdy, those are two places both Crowdy and Cherry went to and started and established schools, right? If I'm not mistaken, Israel of God, the brothers over there, they one of the oldest schools in Chicago right now. I think they've been around for a long ass time. So like it's a lot of Israelite schools in Chicago, right? It's not just known for Muslim activity. That's what y'all think. But there's a lot of Israelites that were established in Chicago too. And because of this, Chicago also being a place where a lot of, Philly and Chicago being a place where a lot of prominent actors and musicians and stuff like that were from, especially in the early 1900s, due to the Reconstruction and everything like that, the industrial age, all the factories that were being created in Ohio and Michigan and stuff like that, right? Illinois, Chicago ended up being one of the places that was prominent for that type of stuff. Plus, it's right by the water, so it was the prettiest, right? So a lot of people were moving there back in the day, especially niggas. And what happened? We got to move up. How? Well, around this 1908 region is when that Rosenwald fund that we were talking about that brought up all these black people was being done, right?
Right.
So what he's letting you know is this is the time that they're starting Rhodes scholarships. They're sending black people an opportunity to go and be indoctrinated overseas. I had a teacher that wanted me to be a Rhodes Scholar. So they do that. A lot of them become Masons and stuff like that, and then they get their way into the Boule as Rhodes Scholars. So they do that thing as the Rhodes Scholarship. And the first black guy was he was let in 1908. From Rhodes Scholarship, it's like a thing where they have the you got the Boule and everything like that. So it's different avenues and tunnels you could take to get to the same goal, right? But point I'm trying to make is he's letting you know that they had the Jewish man doing things in Palestine, right? They had the Jewish man doing things in America, and the things they were doing in America was making you not know that you were the people from what they so-called Palestine. It was to keep you in a position where you stayed the lowest in the society. They brought up people to make you look up to them, and those people had no spiritual connection either, right? Once they realized y'all were looking for some type of spiritual connection, then they fund the civil rights movement. They give you Islam, the nation of Islam, right? They give you Martin Luther King in the Southern Baptist Commission. They don't give you an Israelite. Wonder why. They give you the Black Panther Party. They give you red, black, and green.
Right.
But they don't give you an Israelite.
With the key.
Wonder why.
Sissy.
Right? They'll put a gun in the nigga's hand, but they won't put the menorah. Won't give him that shield of David. So that's really it, man. That's all I got for this week. That was how they stole your identity, right? They literally took it and gave you something different. So we talk about how, they called us Negroes and all that type of stuff. It's much deeper than that, because they gave you a whole different type of person to, try to attain to be of your people. They gave you an example. Be like this. Do what we say. Be like this. Right? Now they've given us a different example. It's the same protocol, but they've changed it, as we saw from the protocols, right, of the Elders of Zion. They tweak it. Now, instead of it being a respectful black person that you're being, taught to be like, now you're being taught to sag your pants and color your dreads, rainbow colors, right? Show your Ethica draw. Wear Jordans or skinny jeans. And a wife beater all day, even when it's cold. That's what we being taught now. If you're a girl, go out naked. Show whatever you want to show. If you're young, live your life, be free, even if it's cold. That's what we're being taught. That's the Crafted Council. And it's going to keep evolving and evolving and evolving until they have us exactly how they want us to be. Obviously, it's not going to get that far because we're going to stop it. But that's their plan. Right? So that's all I got for y'all this week, man. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Y'all hit the like button when y'all come in the building. Whenever y'all watch the video. Y'all haven't watched it.
That mighty, mighty roar. All praises, all praises, all praises for that, Captain. Hope everyone was edified. Hope everyone picked up something from that. And what in these type of lessons is what we want. We want to kind of engage you to actually look these things up. Go to these videos and read and watch these videos. You know what I'm saying? Look up the certain things that Captain brought out. This just enhances your knowledge of the things that have been taking place for years that have been hidden from us. Now we're coming back into this truth, and all this information that's coming out of the woodwork from the past that was right in front of our face, but now is being kind of explained as we gain the wisdom and knowledge through the scriptures. Is a wonderful thing. So all praises for that. If that's all that Captain has, what I want to do is I'm going to give a quick shout out to those who came in after class started, from the ones that I've seen. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and check the board again one more time just to see if anyone else chimed in. Doesn't look like it. So let me give a shalom to Victoria Christina, to the Mighty Soldier Keziah, the Mighty Soldier Zebulon, to Pat Wolf. I don't want to mispronounce this, but I believe it's Chavis or Chavis. Yeah, Chavis, I guess. Shalom to the Mighty Soldier Ariah. Shalom to Coach CR 617. Shalom to the Mighty Soldier AHOS Soldier Yaquab, and also the Mighty Soldier Antonio. Shalom. Thanks for being here. Also, any brother who is looking to put their brick in to build the kingdom, who wants to join with the Anointed House of Saints, you can do so by sending us your request to be a part of the next prospect phase at anointedhos@gmail.com. That's anointedhos@gmail.com. Also, we have a very, very special holy day coming up right around the corner. And, you know, everyone knows that the Passover is near, is right up on us right now. And for Anointed House of Saints, we will be having our second annual Passover feast on April 21st. Let me pull up, let me just go ahead and do this for you. And it'll give you all the info that you need.
AHOS. A sharp for sock. Hey man, if you not here, you going off.
Save the date. Anointed House of Saints invites you to our Passover celebration in Atlanta, Georgia, on April 21st, 2024 at 7 p.m. Enjoy a weekend of family fun with events catering to all ages. It's a celebration you won't want to miss. Reserve your seats now at www.anointedhouseofsaints.org. Join us for a laid-back, joy-filled weekend with your loved ones. See you there.
All praises. That is taking place April 21st in Atlanta, Georgia at the Crown Room. April 21st. It's our second annual Anointed House of Saints Passover Feast, and we hope to have you there so we can have a great time in the Most High. All praises. So with that, I'm going to get our scripture, our Daniel 7:18. Then we're going to go ahead and let you get on to your duties for at your home, either to put the kids to sleep if they ain't already asleep, or to go to sleep yourself. Everybody got to work tomorrow. So all praises. So I'm going to go with Daniel 7:18, and it reads, "But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Bahashem Mashiach Yahweh Shai." All praises. I am Officer Knock, and I'm with
Captain All, the aristocrat.
And this is another Milk Monday. We want to thank you for joining us again. Also, remember to join us all through the week. We have our Wild Out Wednesdays with Captain Yahawada. We have our Thursday Night Live tour portion with Captain Yonatan. We also have our Friday night Bible study and prayer line. It's down at the bottom of the ticker, going down at the bottom of the ticker right now. Every Friday night, 9 p.m., you have the phone number and the access code. You can write it down as it goes down, as it kind of goes down the bottom of the screen there. But every Friday night, 9 p.m., call in. If you have questions that you want to know about certain scriptures, you have anything, any prayer requests, right? Please join us every Friday night at 9 p.m. One of the officers or captains are usually over that. And we go for, it's usually about an hour, however the Most High leads us is how far we go, is how long we go. But that's Friday night. Also Saturday, Sabbath morning brew with Captain Aharon. We do these things for you, for our people, for your edification. And we are thankful that you are here to join and fellowship with us, and hope and pray that you continue to do so. So with that, we're going to go ahead and say Shalom, and until next time, all right, with Milk Monday, Shalom, everybody.
Shalom.
This is not a test.
thoughts, black Jesus, black music, black skin, black thoughts, black Jesus, black music, black skin, black thoughts, black Jesus, black music, black skin, black thoughts, black Jesus, black music, black music, black music, black music, black